Captain Marvel is the worst movie in the MCU. As much as it hurts to say, Captain Marvel is a worse movie than Black Panther. I still hold that Black Panther was the worst movie leading up to Captain Marvel, but then Captain Marvel came along barely a year later than Black Panther, killed Black Panther in its sleep, usurped the throne, and now stands as the MCU's worst movie. And it's really no contest. Captain Marvel has nothing going for it. It's a bland and mediocre movie with a bland and mediocre actress playing a bland and mediocre character. What's worse is that Captain Marvel doesn't even fit into the MCU. Captain Marvel was shoehorned in at the end of Infinity War, and she felt shoehorned in Endgame. Her entire role in Endgame is essentially the same character she plays in her own standalone movie, which is just this chick who does everything right, who has no flaws, who is the most powerful, most infallible character around. That's not interesting. That's not entertaining. That's not a good character. It's not a strong character. It's a poorly written character. Black Panther actually has merits, as much as it begrudges me to say. Black Panther has the waterfall fights. Black Panther has some world building. Captain Marvel has no world building. You see Hala for 5 seconds and then it's gone. The teleportation technology they used to get through space, same as Guardians. Nick Fury and Coulson were well established before Captain Marvel came along, and they play such an insignificant part in the movie. And then there's the way Nick Fury loses his eye. Black Panther, at least, has a villain around which we can focus some conversation about politics and about philosophy and about modern ideology and what we deem right and wrong. Which is what I want to focus this video around, because Captain Marvel is the worst movie in the MCU. Undoubtedly. And I would argue that further. I would make a critique of Captain Marvel. I would script out a few thousand words and talk at length about just how bad Captain Marvel is, but other people have done this better than me already, and I just don't have the willpower or the energy to talk at length about this awful movie. There's not enough to talk about. It's all bad. I cannot name you one single merit of Captain Marvel. While Captain Marvel is the worst movie in the MCU, I still hold that Black Panther is the most potentially dangerous and harmful to society because of its villain, Killmonger. Now, if you haven't watched Black Panther or you haven't watched my critique of it, then you should go do one of those things first, but I don't know why you're here if you haven't watched either of those. Anyway, Black Panther's villain, Killmonger, is an unapologetic racist psychopath. I made this very clear in my critique. If you disagree with that point already, I argue it way better with a script, with better diction, in my Black Panther critique. So go check that out if you're interested. I'll be building on what I said about Killmonger in that video here. Because the message that Black Panther sends to the audience is that, Killmonger, he's willing to do some bad stuff. He feels that the ends justify the means. He's a bad guy, but you know what? He was right. That's the message the movie tries to send to you. That Killmonger, yeah, he's a bad guy, but he's onto something, He was right all along. And this is a message that I'm not making up. I'm not inferring it and then passing it off as what the movie objectively tries to convey. No, I'm not the only one who's picked up on the message that the movie tries to send, that Killmonger was right all along. In fact, twice now, I think, I've heard Screen Junkies refer to Killmonger as having been right in the movie. And you know how Screen Junkies and CinemaSins, they often get criticized on some bad criticism that they maybe have for a movie, but then they might just put up the shield of, no, it's parody, it's satire, we're not real film critics. It's a stupid argument. It's as if criticism and satire are mutually exclusive, which they aren't always. They aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. You can have satire and criticism, or you can make a fair and valid criticism and a joke at the same time. It's entirely possible. And Screen Junkies does this a lot in their honest trailers. Now, the epic movie trailer voice guy, whatever his name is, him specifically, in the honest trailer for Black Panther and in the honest trailer for a different movie, he refers to Killmonger as having been right, as though he's a deep villain, as though he's a deep and complicated villain. He's not. He's extremely one-note. So, enough about just throwing words around. Let's talk about Killmonger. And I want to address 4 specific instances in Black Panther in which we get a close-up of Killmonger's mind, what's going on in there, his reasoning and whatnot. And the first quote is when he's in the museum talking to the lady who he poisoned, and he says, "How do you think your ancestors got these? You think they paid a fair price? Or did they take it, like they took everything else?" Of course referring to artifacts, one of which is an artifact from Wakanda. How do you think your ancestors got these? You think they paid a fair price? Okay, seriously, I didn't go this deep into addressing these quotes in my Black Panther critique, but I feel it fair to here because I'm making the argument that Killmonger alone, the ideology he propagates and his character makes Black Panther a more dangerous movie than Captain Marvel. Because if people actually believe that Killmonger was right all along in the movie Black Panther, then it absolutely stands to be a more harmful movie to society than Captain Marvel's just mediocre. It's harmless. It's harmless and awful at the same time. Whereas Black Panther is awful and very much potentially dangerous. And it's dangerous because if people actually believe that people today can be held accountable for the actions of their ancestors, then the horrible things that some people's ancestors did to some other people's ancestors could maybe be justified or avenged today through extremely horrible acts, equally horrible acts to what happened back then. Right? Slavery is a massive theme in Black Panther. Slavery is brought up often as an animus for why Killmonger is angry. A lot of his rage comes from the oppression that black people have suffered over the hundreds of years. That comes up, in the next quote. When he's talking to the advisors, he's taken the throne now. No, wait. He has not taken the throne yet, but he's addressing T'Challa and the advisors in the throne room while he's still in cuffs. Y'all sitting up here comfortable. Must feel good. About 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. I can actually lump these two quotes in together, because in the second one, about 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Okay, so there are 2 billion black people all over the planet, right? And Wakanda is a hyper-advanced nation. They got the best technology on the planet because they got a space medal. So, objectively, everyone else is living in conditions worse than Wakanda, but for a black person living in a skyscraper apartment with a 6-figure job and a nice car and a family, those conditions are worse than the conditions they have in Wakanda, but they are in no way bad. I would love to have a life like that. A lot of people would dream of having lives like that, but that person is a black person, and that person is living a life harder than the people in Wakanda. This claim is so asinine if you just dig a little bit deeper than the surface. About 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. No, some of their lives are arguably better than yours, because in Wakanda, the ruler is decided by ritual combat. So any roided up freak could come in overnight, usurp the throne, and then the people living in Wakanda might go back to the Stone Age overnight, because that's what Wakanda is. It's a banana republic. So Killmonger is attributing the responsibility to take care of all the other black people on the planet to Wakandans just because they won the lottery? First of all, this is racist. This is absolutely racist. It's the bigotry of low expectations. You are telling black people all around the planet that they are not good enough to succeed on their own, that they need help from Wakanda. Yeah, okay, objectively, in this fictional universe, Wakanda is doing better. In this fictional world, in this fictional country, the Wakandans are better off than black people all over the rest of the planet. That does not mean that there are not black people who are happy with their lives. What about the Rastafarians in Jamaica? They're probably happy with very little because that's their philosophy. What about the black people living in America? Some of them have fantastic lifestyles. Just because Wakandans are slightly better off because of vibranium does not mean that it's Wakanda's responsibility to take care of the rest of the world's blacks. And then there's the fact that he's saying about 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us. That's it. They have the same skin color. You don't even know what they believe. You don't even know what they value. You don't even know what their interests are. Like, maybe not all of them are happy with the idea of being ruled over by a murderous king just because they're black. Maybe they're not happy with the idea of being ruled over by a maniac just because that maniac shares a skin color with them. No, but you didn't think about that, Killmonger, because you're an absolute idiot. You're a poorly written character. You're a one-note, fascistic racist. Then Killmonger takes the throne, and he sits down on the throne with the advisors around him, and this is a long one. He says, "You know, where I'm from, when black folks started revolutions, they never had the firepower or the resources to fight their oppressors." That's a fair assumption, I guess, in a lot of cases, especially when you talk about slavery. Western nations took slaves from Africa, took them over to the West, and then, the slaves were second-class citizens. They didn't have the firepower or the resources to fight their oppressors. However, that didn't stop the black people of Haiti from starting a revolution and beating their Western oppressors. So it's not like it's impossible. Moving on. Where was Wakanda? All that ends today. We got spies embedded in every nation on Earth, already in place. I know how colonizers think, so we're going to use their own strategies against them. Isn't this counterproductive? If you want to make a Wakandan empire, and you want to prove that Wakanda is really the best, why would you use colonizers' strategies against them? Why not use your own strategies? Because this is wrong for two ways. Either you're stooping to their level, and you're using their horrible strategies of colonization and enslavement against them. Either you're stooping to their level, or you are telling them that their methods of oppression are the best, which is why you will use them. You are saying that your methods of oppression are way better than any methods of oppression we Wakandans could come up with. We're just gonna take your ideas from you. What an idiotic sentence. We're gonna send vibranium weapons out to our war dogs. They'll arm oppressed people all over the world so they can finally rise up and kill those in power. Hold on. They'll arm oppressed people all over the world. Just because you're black does not mean you're oppressed. Breaking news, people. Stop the presses. Just because you're black does not mean you're oppressed. It's incredible that some people, because the people who wrote Killmonger, I doubt Michael B. Jordan thinks like this, the people who wrote Killmonger think that people will just eat this up without thinking. If you just dig a little bit beneath the surface of this sentence, you can find how little they think of black people all over the world. Just because they're black, they're oppressed. There are entirely black nations on this planet. Okay, well, I wouldn't say not a single white person in them. There are majority black countries all over this planet who are doing very well. Some of them have fantastic standards of living. Just because you are black does not mean you are oppressed by default. That is such a defeatist attitude. That is such a victim mentality that not everyone shares. Some black people, and just saying, this sounds like a crazy idea, but some black people are happy. They're well off. They're grateful for what they actually have. They don't want a murderous psychopath to come in and kill all the quote-unquote colonizers and put them in power and give them what they could have worked to achieve. Well, not necessarily, work to have achieved a Wakandan empire, but maybe work to achieve, I don't know, better house, family, car, promotion in your job. They'll arm oppressed people all over the world so they can finally rise up and kill those in power. This is not a revolution of philosophy. Screw MLK. No, they're going to rise up and kill those in power. This is a bloody revolution because hundreds of years ago, some colonizers came in, took some slaves, and there were Africans who were helping facilitate the slave trade. We'll forgive them. We can pardon them. We can't pardon the whites. Nah, we'll pardon our own people because we share skin color with them. It's not like they facilitated the enslavement, rape, and death of millions of black people. It's not like even if so, you know what? They're black too. We can forgive them for that because that's what Killmonger is advocating. It's fucking ridiculous. Rise up and kill those in power and their children and anyone else who takes their side. Okay, Killmonger's a fascist. Open fascist. He just admitted to being a fascist. The people who praise Killmonger and Black Panther, they actually like to call people who disagree with them fascist. Well, I don't think they see the irony in that Killmonger is literally a fascist, and he just admitted to it. Anyone who takes their side, they will kill, and their children. Yeah, I went over why that's so awful in my Black Panther critique. It's killing children. I mean, children. We're talking about like 12, 11, and below, right? These humans who are incapable of evil because they do not have the capacity to understand evil. Kill them too, just because they either agree with our enemies or are a different skin color, It's time they know the truth about us. We're warriors. No, you're not acting like a warrior. You're acting like a psychopathic racist murderer. That's how you are behaving. You're not behaving like a warrior. There is nothing noble. It's not a survivor mentality that Killmonger is depicting here. It's a psychopathic mentality. The sun will never set on the Wakandan Empire. That, again, that is a reference to the sun will never set on the British Empire. That was a famous Western saying. Killmonger says, I know how colonizers think. We're going to use their own strategies against them. Yeah, you're going to use their own strategies against them, and you're going to straight up steal lines from their empire and use it as your own. Like, you're not even original enough to create your own despotic quotes. You need to take the colonizers. Moving on. After the fight between T'Challa and Killmonger, as Killmonger has that spearhead stabbed into his heart, he says on the cliff, Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage. Yes, enslaved black people jumped from ships because they preferred death to enslavement. Nothing wrong with that, except T'Challa didn't offer you enslavement the moment before. He said, we can still heal you, as if he was offering to make amends with you. He says, maybe we can forgive you in time if you just renounce your psychopathic beliefs. That's where he was leading. I'm not saying he said that because he didn't, but he was kind of inferring it. He was saying, maybe we can heal you, maybe if you just change your ways, you can still live among us and we can live in peace together. And he's like, nah, man, all I know is what I've been told, and that's that my ancestors were slaves, and that they jumped from the ships, and that I'm black like them, so I have to think exactly like they did, and I'm not my own character. Killmonger is not his own character. He's a completely one-note rendition of an enslaved victim. Killmonger's race and the history of oppression that black people have gone through is his entire character. He has no character beyond that. He's also angry because of that ridiculous plot point that they left him in America after they had killed his dad. So that's also a motivation for him. So there's that. He's angry about them killing his dad and leaving him in America. Actually, I'm not sure if they're angry that they left him in America. I'm not sure if he's angry about that. I know he's angry that they killed his dad. They're angry that they killed his dad. And he's angry because black people have been oppressed in their history. And that's his entire character. Okay, I'm sorry. He's not a one-note character. He's a two-note character. My mistake. I don't understand how anyone could think to themselves, Killmonger, yeah, he's not a virtuous guy, but he was onto something. He was right all along. They clearly didn't watch this movie more than once. Or if they did, they just didn't give enough thought to Killmonger's character and his writing. This is the only MCU movie. Black Panther is the only MCU movie to propagate such harmful, racist philosophies through its characters. And it's quite blatant. I mean, from the quotes I read, only from the quotes I read, there's more, like them calling white people colonizers unapologetically. That's bad too. It's racist. Black Panther is the only MCU movie to propagate such dangerous ideology through its characters. If people truly believe that Black Panther, yeah, great movie, culturally relevant, Killmonger, great character, he was right all along. If people actually believe that, then they will serve as a detriment to society. If they truly believe that Killmonger was right, like if they truly believe, if they devoutly believe Killmonger was right and his philosophies are words to act upon in the real world, they will only serve as a detriment to society. I'm not saying that Killmonger was necessarily a call to action for people in the real world, but if people do act on it, detriment to society. Even if people just believe the ideas that Killmonger propagated, that all black people are the same and they're all inherently oppressed, they too will serve as a detriment to society because they'll start treating black people as inferior. That's what Killmonger's doing. It's not a unifying message that Killmonger's propagating. It's a message of bigotry. Black people, that they're all the same, that they all deserve special treatment because what happened to their ancestors. It completely negates any black people who are happy with what they have today, with who they are today, with what they're doing today. It completely negates any of that in favor of this ideology of guilt. It's harmful to society. Captain Marvel, there's nothing like that in Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is just a stupid movie. Seriously, if you just take time to analyze Black Panther and Captain Marvel and the differences they're in, you'll see that Black Panther has potential to be dangerous to society, whereas Captain Marvel will always be the worst movie in the MCU. But Captain Marvel is not the most harmful movie in the MCU. And that's the point I'm trying to make. But you're welcome to disagree with me. If you have any criticism of my take on Captain Marvel being worse than Black Panther, but Black Panther being more dangerous for our world, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.